Location 4. Location 4 in Jeffrey Martin's The Finder's Scale of Consciousness. Hello, this is Chris speaking. Wake up with another video about awakening and enlightenment and spirituality and scales of consciousness. Today we talk about Jeffrey Martin's scale of consciousness again, the locations. There are already videos about location 1, 2 and 3. And now finally with location 4 we arrive at a dynamic and continuum that deserves the name Enlightenment. But this is where Enlightenment starts. Here we can see again, just with spiral dynamics and the Hawkins scale, that Enlightenment is not one thing, but it also is ongoing and expanding, further expanding. With location 4, Enlightenment starts. There will be another video about locations 5+ and how far it goes, how many locations make sense. As far as I understood, he and his team mostly researched location 1 to about 9. After 9 it gets sketchy. But not, of course, if you have the Hawkins scale and if you have spiral dynamics and most importantly of all, if you have your own experience. Only with your own experience you're able to tell these stages and colors and numbers apart and judge if it makes sense to compartmentalize them this way. But back to location 4. So we had location 1 and 2, which are types of awakening, where you already feel one with the universe to some degree. Also location 3, mystical or religious experience and awakening, where you feel very much one with the universe. And now what? Location 4 is more similar to location 2 than to location 1 and 3. But there are differences between 2 and 4. First of all, it also feels very non-dual. So non-duality teachers are often in location 2 or 4. But while location 1, 2 and 3 are only partly awake and partly in tune with consciousness and the divine and their intuition, location 4 is fully in the present moment. Like Eckhart Tolle, the power of now. That's typical location 4. I don't say that he's location 4, but that would be typical. There will be another video soon about historical examples of locations, like I've already done with the Hawkins scale and spiral dynamics. Speaking of which, on the Hawkins scale, location 4 is usually 600+. And in spiral dynamics, it can happen in teal, but it's usually plum plus, or in Ken Wilber terms, ultraviolet plus. Location 2 already feels like a totally different ball game, like a total game changer. But location 4 is even beyond that. It's impossible to describe. As Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching has already written, the Tao that can be put into words is not the Tao. That's also the reason why I chose that very nice picture here of the Buddha by Duong Ngoc, which I found on Pixabay. Thank you very much. The point here being is that all duality is gone. All sense of time is gone. All sense of separation is gone. All sense of personality is gone. There's only the present moment and there's only being in the flow. This can have disadvantages too, which is very well described or at least mentioned here in Martin's book. For example, memory deficits. If you have no sense of personality anymore, no sense of time, then memory starts to dissolve. And memory is what creates the sense of personality and the sense of time. So, of course, they all disappear together. So it might even be that someone at location 4 needs reminders like post-its or messages to himself on a cell phone to think of things that are useful in his her day-to-day life. Now here you really have to make a decision, or a decision has to happen. How much you still want to be involved in day-to-day life, in family life, in work life, because it seems irrelevant. There's no more compulsion and everything is or seems possible. So what to do? There have been many examples of people who just continued their work life. Like Ramesh Balsekar, for example, worked in a bank. Or many Sufi masters have been craftsmen. Probably a craft is the easiest of all to continue, like carpenter or gardener or so on. Because it allows to be by yourself a lot. But a normal team working context in a company, difficult. And while everything is possible, it's not necessarily so that you can bend reality already. You're not Neo or the boy with a spoon. If you're not happen to be wealthy, there might still be cause to earn your livelihood, to afford food or something, unless you maybe live in a country where it's warm, where you can just live in the forest, like the ancient rishis and sadhus. I always like Eckhart Tolle's example where he says he sat on a park bench for about a year or so. If you can afford that, that is certainly best, because you really need to reorient everything. Everything is different and you need to find a new rhythm. Also, it can happen that you reject the whole thing because it's too distracting, or that you think, okay, now you're enlightened, anything is possible anyway. Now I try out this and that, and even a stressful job can't shake me anymore. I do not recommend this. I've tried this out several times and it usually pulls you back into a lower state. Because it needs time. Location 4 needs time to establish. It can take years. Many teachers talk about 7 years. I made this video also about Gurdjieff's law of the octave. There seems to be something going on there with the number 7. So if you ever manage to arrive at location 4, which is very rare, be careful a little bit, wait, let it settle. Don't dive into something super stressful immediately. Something else will take place. Something else will take the place of the ego, but it has to establish first. It needs time, it needs years. Chad McKenna also describes this. It needs years. Use them well. Thank you to all my Patreons. Thank you for liking and subscribing and hitting the bell button. Thank you for joining me as a Patreon and sharing the videos with your friends. Leave your comments below and see you soon.